Well, good morning, everybody. It is December, the 27th, and this is the Smart Networker call. And we are here today amidst the holiday season to talk about a concept and an idea and on the 90-day push. And so we're going to do theory first and then practical second with a live example and you can all follow in and participate at that time to practice utilizing what we're talking about today. So first off, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to do the PowerPoint as usual. And there we go. We're going to go from the beginning. Okay. And I'm going to move this guy over here. So I did a test of this because I didn't know what view you had at your end. I only got my view. So I'm assuming you got the PowerPoint presentation and then you've got either a speaker view or an audience view. So whichever, that's fine. So here we go. So getting into action, a 90-day push or a strategic build. Now, I think that the idea behind the 90-day push was to create activity or commitment or lots of action, primarily as a way to doing more activities and keep your business on track, more on track or moving up to the next level. Now, in my experience, for me, I never did one of these things. It was a constant. So for me, the viewpoint was building a business is not typically a start, stop, start situation, but it's a strategic plan of continual action based on sound fundamentals. And of course, you get to certain points that we will see throughout this presentation that guide you as to what to do and what not to do. So with this in mind, I'm going to lay out some ideas that will help you to build a successful and profitable business while best using the next 90 days, and then we'll go from there. And each of you is different, and you have your own circumstances, your own situation, you have skills, you have abilities, and they're most unique to who you are and what you've grown up with. So one of the keys is to quickly find out what works for you. And then, so I'm going to show you some successful activities. The rest is up to you to take advantage of. In 1999, I wrote my first book, Vested Interest, Making Network Marketing Work for You. And the idea was to present the actual activities that needed to be learned and done. The stage had a tremendous way of just showing you results, but didn't tell you how those results occurred. And once you knew what the actual activities were, then you could get your wits around and learn how to do them for who you were, and so on and so forth. So as an example, when I first started, my sponsor, Reed Nelson, said, put together a list of 100 or 200 names and then go out and present what you have. And basically at that time versus, well, what am I supposed to do here with these names? And I didn't have 100 to 200 names. I had 15. And I put those on the list and I got the job done. So the more you speak with, obviously, the greater the potential becomes. So when you talk to others and find out what they need and want, then you can, and you do enough of those, you're going to get some results. How much is enough is another question, which we'll answer shortly, but creating a plan to follow based on a strategy to get what you want is the objective here. So therefore, the whole idea of this presentation is for you to understand the mechanics. And by mechanics, we're talking about the functional details or procedures of creating a successful business with Nikken, and then get these things going in the next 90 days and longer. And what's important is that the activities you do move you closer to get what you want, and not just for 90 days, but for real long term. And so we have two areas that we're going to deal with today. One is building a business, and the other is time. And today we're going to deal with these two things and what can be done in the next 90 days and longer. We'll do the theory first and then a practical application second. Okay. So first off, a business is a thing, and it's created by an individual or a group, and it operates based on directions given and actions taken by those and other individuals that are associated with the business. So As an example, when I started and I had experience, I'd seen this type of business before, I formed a corporation. Now, that's an operating entity. You could form an LLC or you could do it by yourself, but because of my experience, because of knowledge and talking with legal counsel, that was determined the best route for me to take. Now, there were short-term and long-term benefits that would provide me with once I got going and made the business successful, which then was focused towards my intention and commitment to make this work. Very important, my intention and commitment to make this work. So, and I also needed to know what I wanted as a result of being involved here and doing this activity. And of course, you've heard my story a gazillion times, but therefore, before I decided to play, I'm just gonna let a couple people in here. Okay, sorry. I had to understand what the potential was. And the potential was important because that made the plans more exciting. And what I saw and observed and was a part of it was like, oh my God, I can get what I want here. Not pie in the sky stuff, but real potential and real results. That was the viewpoint. Okay. Next point that's important to understand. What is your circumstance or situation? Now, this step is very important to understand, as this will set the correct actions to take. Now, I use and have used statistics, and when interpreted properly, they tell me the right condition of my business to basically operate. So I have two graphs here to show you. One on the left, which is a gross income graph, and the other on the right is a sales volume graph. Now, there are two different conditions here. The one on the left is good, and the one on the right needs some fixing. It doesn't seem to be growing because it's trending in a downward direction, whereas the one on the left is trending in an upward direction. So in that particular case, if that were my condition now or circumstance, I wouldn't change anything, because whatever one is doing is making this go up, and whatever one is doing is kind of contributing to it going down or sideways. Okay. So where are you in relationship to what you want? And is your plan working? Or does the plan need some tweaking? Or should you simply continue doing what you're doing? Now, these are important questions. And sometimes they could be critical moves to your success. Now, here, I'm going to give you an example, and then we'll move it forward to present time. So at this time, I'd just gone to Diamond, and it was July of 1996. So you can see by this chart here, it basically started in 1994 is when it started to gel. And at that time, I was platinum. And that took me 2 years to build from that to that level. Okay, so based on this, and the graph showed a condition of affluence. So, you know, because again, you can see where the income was at that point in time for that year. And so it was an affluent condition. And so what I needed to do was then strengthen those activities that I was doing. Whatever I was doing, and I kept track of what I was doing, I had to strengthen those so that I could take the next step. And what was the next step? Well, that was move up to Royal Diamond. And it was to do the same things. So obviously, whatever I was doing to get to Diamond would be the same things I needed to do to get to Royal Diamond. So the first reason for doing this was obviously the income would double or more. And the second was the accomplishment of reaching the top, and of course, the ego part of the title, Royal Diamond. So in order to do that, what I needed to see was, what does this goal look like in terms of a structure that would reach the Royal Diamond rank, so I could understand the effort. Now, this is very important. I could understand the effort required and the specific targets, then the specific production activities, then create a step-by-step plan to build. Now, I was now looking at a new milestone for income, a huge jump, and at that time I needed 3 more platinums, and each platinum needed 6 silvers, and that was just to get to rank, and not to mention any depth or security. So I drew it out, I put it up on my wall, and the first thing I had to do was find the first person who would be the first of 3 silvers, who would then grow to gold and then platinum. And so the object here is go to the end and then work it backwards. So now what I want to do is take this data and now bring it to present time and look at how this might work for your situation. So once the map was on the wall, what had to be understood were the targets and the specifics. So last week we had an example of making $5,000 a week on the presentation. I'm going to use the same map here for this and talk about this. So based on our compensation plan, what I did was I took a look at how would a good mix of making $5,000 a month mean. And we're talking here in US and not Canadian. So the Canadian is just extrapolate the difference in volume and value. So you have to have retail customers. You get rebates. You've got executives and directs, and then you've got your leadership where you make your leadership bonuses, and then of course the other stuff, travel, those are bonuses and those are extras, and we're not really talking about that right now. So these would be the specific targets that you would have to go after in order to reach this goal of $5,000. So if you wanted $5,000 a month and you did these things, then that's what you would get. So that's the relationship here that I want you to take a look at, is whatever it is you want, you can then figure out what needs to be done. Now let's look at that part. So keep your eye on the prize, constant monitoring. Now, if we take a look at this, and you might want to, okay, so I'm going to admit some people in. You might want to take a screenshot of this. What's a production board? And so this might be a term or a concept that you're not used to, so let's define it. Basically, if you were to go into, say, a construction company that was building a business or building a building for that sake, they would have in their little office on site a production board of, what phase they were in, what was next to be done. They'd have one for materials that were being delivered, materials needed. They'd have one for personnel, etc. In other words, it was a bird's eye view of what they were trying to accomplish. So when I was building my business, and I learned this technology somewhere else, I had my production boards up on my wall, and my office was in my garage, so I knew the directs and the execs that I was going after, and I knew the retail. And so what was happening was every day when I walked into my office, I was being bombarded, so to speak, and I was looking at and facing what needed to be done. Now, the idea of when something gets done is not to look at it as it's been done, but it's to look at it as what do you need to do to reach the objective. So you got three boards here. So you got your new distributor production board, you got your retail sales production board, and then you got the ideal scene of what you're trying to accomplish, which will make up this thing called $5,000 a month. And so you make them, you go to the the store that provides this kind of stuff for you. You buy those big boards, and then you write on them and you stick them on your wall wherever you work. And you go in there in the morning to have your coffee, and you're looking at it. Okay, man, I need to put somebody in that position. I need to get that retail sale. So what you are doing in essence is making a decision constantly about what you're doing. And that's how everything gets done anyway, as you all know, is everything happens because of decisions. Okay. So running your business. So as a CEO, your business, or as the CEO of your business, your job is to get activities done that create results that you want and to correct things when they don't. So from the standpoint of that, that's your role. That's what you do. So you put up the production board for retail clients. You set the target of how many and how much volume. You know what needs to be done as far as an activity, the phone calls, the social media, the whatever that you do to do that. And then you plan on doing the activities using your calendar and doing your events. And then you go do the activities till you get a result. And if you do that, you're going to get retail clients. There's no question. So name what you want what you name, and then go to work. Pretty simple. So as a CEO, you expand your business when you delegate activities to others. And this was the cognition and the realization that I had very, very early on in my learning curve of this business, of how this business really worked. And of course, there's plenty of videos on daverolf.com that explain this, but it was the potential of if you work in the right direction. So you're going to grow and expand through delegation. If you keep everything to yourself, you're not going to grow that much because you're limited in what you can do in time, etc. So recruiting distributors who get other customers and other distributors then becomes that route. So you put up your production board to get distributors, and you set a target of how many and what time frame, and you know what needs to be done as far as an activity, phone calls, social media, etc., meetings, events. You plan out doing the activities using your calendar and events, and then you go do the activities till you get a result. And then what do you get? You get distributors. So name what you want what you name, then go to work. Now, next one. As the CEO of your business, your job is to expand your business, and this is done by creating other independent leaders, silvers and above in your group. And of course, this was where I made most of my money, if not 99.9% of it, over my tenure in this with Nikken. So I put up my production board, put up your production board. You draw out the structure that you're trying to accomplish based on the income that you've decided that you want. You set that target, and then there's the structure. Now, you know what needs to be done as far as the activity. It's, you got to get out there. You got to get your phone calls. You got to meet people. You got to talk to them, social media, meetings, follow-ups, trainings, 3-1s, 1, whatever it takes. And then you plan out doing these activities using your calendar and events, and of course your time, whatever time's available. And then you go out and do the activities continuously. And you build a team, and you get others doing the first two parts that we just talked about. So name what you want what you name, and then go to work is the idea here. Okay, so here's the big board. So what we did last week, we looked at that 5,000 per month, and we looked at the average group doing, 4,000. You need 25 leaders. I mean, you could have 10 guys doing 10,000. Whatever it is. I just took the compensation plan and then did an example of what could be done with that and the type of business that you would have to have. So in your direct and executives, the volume would be 8,000 in CV per month, with your retail sales about 1,500 per month. And in the leadership area, this is CV, so this would be the 64.5, so based with 3 teams. You could have 5 teams, you could have 10 teams. Again, that's not an issue. What's an issue is whatever plan and strategy you come up with, you put it up there and then go to work. And so it would be like this. So let's say this is your organization, and you've got Bob and you got Sue. Well, what do you need to do? Well, you need to find somebody over here, and you have to help Sue find people, and you have to have Bob find, in the direction that you go is that. And you need to have customers, so you got to put that up on your board. You need directs and you need executives, because those are the guys that grow into silvers. So, it's kind of like if you were to look at Amazon, for example, and it has plants everywhere, or you look at Tesla and it has car manufacturers everywhere, Ford Motor Company, they do the same thing that you're going to do here, is they plan and strategize the activities that are known to create the results that are needed and wanted. Well, what do you need and want? You need $5,000 a month. You want $5,000 a month. Okay, so this is an idea. Now, let's take a look at the activities of building a team. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at all my successful actions that I had done so far, and then what I was currently learning, and then apply that. And I had a great mentor that was teaching me. So from the standpoint, I'd listen to what he said, and then I would do what he told me to do. So the first action was to find someone who wanted to play. So if you're sitting in a situation where you've been doing a lot of retail and you don't have many distributors underneath you, then that becomes the first action. Find somebody who wants to play. And of course, once I had someone who wanted to play, then my job was to help them build a structure that was stable and solid, so that I could then leave that and move to the next one. Please mute your call. So pay attention to the bottom of any leg, as this is the weakest part, and help them get activity below. And again, if you understand how the plan works, you get paid when somebody else does something. So your bottom line of your structure will get paid when it has activity. So if it doesn't have activity, then that's a weak point, and that needs to be corrected. And if you don't pay attention to it, man, it just goes by the wayside, and people leave, and they, because they don't understand what to do, and that seems to be the biggest bugaboo there is. And make sure you maintain all your relationships with previous customers or any distributors and continue to help where needed. Most importantly, building any previous legs if you do have any. So again, coming back to this picture. So your leadership, you're looking to create that kind of volume. You got this first guy, that's Bob, that we have there. So the object is build him. And if you do that and you get some strength there, then while you're moving on to the next one or the next one, Bob's already going, and it's becomes stable, and you've got income and volume, and this is how it works. And see, in other words, building Nikken is not a short-term thing; it's a long-term thing. And that's what I did. That's a firm believer. If you believe in something else, or you have a different viewpoint, by all means do it. But the concept are the main. And this picture also supports the relationship between you and your front line, and vice versa, your front line and you. And we're a team sport here. We're not a bunch of individuals. We're a team of individuals that work together. And when you build a team like underneath Bob, now you've got one team. When you build with, you create a little bit of competition because they don't benefit from each other than the overall group view. So anyway, take a look at that, and you can come back and review this a second, third, or fourth time. Now, if you're just starting, so again, some people are going to be watching this video and you're going to look at this, I'm just getting going, you're going to use it as a training model, then sit down with your sponsor. Learn as much as you can to, get a plan, get a strategy, understand how it works, understand what the actions mean that you do. And utilize your sponsor, to get started, unless you're a pro and you know what to do and you can go out on your own. And then obviously you got to start contacting people, and you got to get your retail, and you're going to play the same game as the previous model, but you got to learn first what to do. And that's so important, because in hindsight, and now I've been here a number of years, the number one bugaboo of our business is not understanding what something means or how to apply it. And once you understand those two things, then it's a piece of cake. It really is. Okay. Another area to just add to this is your calendar and your battle plan. Now, again, your calendar is your time, and you want to know what events are going on, local, national, whatever, meetings, so that you can utilize them to build your business. But your daily battle plan is a key thing. Now, what's a daily battle plan? Well, back in the early days in the wars, the generals had battle plans of what they were going to do to attack the enemy. And each day they would have a new plan because the enemy would move or would change its position, and they needed a new attack. Well, as a business CEO, this is something that you need to pay attention to, because each day can be different than the previous day. And so what I, again, as a modus operandi to do what I did, each day I would sit down and take a look at all the production boards, what needed to be done, who I needed to contact, how it was going to be done, a day planner of sorts, whatever the case may be, activities that needed to be finished, activities that needed to be started. So do that every day, and again, with your eye on activities that create results. And then go to work and review each day your progress and set up the next day. And review each week what you did that week, and then review each month, and then set the stage for what's next. Now, depending on your target that you're working on or your goal that you want to reach, each will determine how much and how often you want to monitor your activities and results. Now, Nikken operates on a monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. And for some things, that's a okay way to go, because the larger you are, the broader your view. But for you, you should operate on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And here's why. You want to monitor your results quicker. And the quicker you can monitor your results, the quicker you can change things if they're not working. So, for example, if you were out there beating the bushes and talking to people 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 month in and month out, and nothing's happening, wow, that's too long a time to wait to fix things. But if you did that week, or day, then you could change what you were saying or how you were saying it, or you could go for help, or you could raise your hand. Now, the graphs that I provided earlier are examples of what you could do. And if you want more information on utilizing graphs and conditions, just contact me, write me an email, and we can talk about that, and I'll set you up with that information. Okay. Conclusion, and this is important. I can't tell you who's going to join you. All I can tell you is that if you go talk to lots of people and you do a half decent job, you're going to find both customers and distributors. The actual results you get depends on what and how you communicate what you have to offer, and how much do those that you talk to need and want what you have. And this then, it's a numbers game. So the more you do the activities, the better you get, and the more results are created. So I wanted to go Royal Diamond after Diamond, and I had a plan, a strategy, and each month to get it done, it took 24 months. And I just worked for 24 months until I got it done. So the message is I kept doing what worked over and over and over and over till I reached my goal. So that's the message. Okay, so here's the question. What do you want? And to help us with that, I'm going to stop the screen share and we're going to talk with Lynn. And Lynn has decided to volunteer her information to work out this example with me. So Lynn, if you would unmute, please.
Sure. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. Welcome to this call. So you did send me an email. So here's my first question. What do you want from doing Nikken?
I would like to just say that what I want is a sustainable income. What I wanted to say with that is not just a rank advancement, to be able to say in the next 3-4 months, by a certain period of time, I'm able to produce 5,000 a month.
Okay.
As a whole organization.
Okay. Perfect. So the rest of you guys, if you want to play along, then get a piece of paper and write out what it is that you want. And then we'll go through the exercise of how we're going to determine what needs to be done to get that job done. And of course, probably the biggest mystery that I've observed in my tenure here with people is just not having the right data to strategize and think. For example, if you had a plumbing problem in your house and you're wondering, well, the plumbing's not working, I have no water pressure, what do? Do you get a wrench and go tap everything and to start undoing taps and turning, or do you call a plumber? Most of us call a plumber because that seems to be the fastest way, that knowledge and experience of solving that problem. So $5,000. So the first question, Lynn, is then what you want to understand is, well, what does Nikken say you need to do to make $5,000 a month?
Correct.
Now, fortunately, in this video, that's exactly what we did do.
Yes.
We provided a chart, and you can either, it'll be replayed, and you can copy that chart, and there'll also be the PDF. You can print that PDF out of the PowerPoint to have that on display. But the idea here is you need to have an understanding of what needs to be done so that you can set up your targets and your objectives. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, again, if we look at this and we look at all business, that's how it operates. It sets out a goal, an objective of what it wants to accomplish. And then it understands what does it need to do. It just doesn't say, I'm going to get involved and let's see what happens. It actually sets out a target. Why does it set out a target? Because then that defines the activities. So, okay, the first activity is you're going to want to have retail customers.
Correct.
Well,
yes.
Why do you want retail customers? Well, because that's the way the game is played. That's what the company wants. And that's part of the legal agreement that we're going to be assigned with, and what the government wants and likes about this kind of a business. So we understand that as a group. So now, how many retail customers do you want to have? Well, based on the example that we used for this, we looked at having $1,500 in retail volume per month. Right. And so therefore at 20% of $1,500, you'd make $300. So here's the next step in that. What do you think you have to do to get those retail customers?
I currently would have to probably go back to some of the people I have been in touch with before.
Okay,
I
so put
do.
that on your list. Put that on your list as something to do. Go back to the people that I've had on my list before and talk to them about upgrading their products or getting something new or making a new presentation to them. What
Correct.
else could you do to get retail customers?
Absolutely obtain new customers,
But what could
especially.
you do to do that? What would you do to do that?
Probably have to go to a group or activities where I'm involved, where I know people, for example.
Okay, so write that down on your list. Go to a group or join a group that I can then open the door to communicate what I've got. Now, I'm going to say this now because it's important. One of the easiest things to do is to direct traffic for yourself by just naming what you're going to do and putting it down on paper. So, in other words, I'm going to have lunch at noon today. And you write that down on your battle plan. And you're looking at your clock, and then you set your alarm, and noon comes up. What are you going to do? You're going to have lunch. Now, why are you having lunch at noon? Because you decided and planned to have lunch at noon. So the same concept applies with getting a new customer, getting a new distributor, making a sale, creating volume, whatever you're going after. Name it, want it, go get it. So you need $1,500 worth of retail. So you put up your production board, 1,500 retail, name the people that you're going to go talk to, and then there's your activities that you need to do. And so if you focus your attention on doing the activities that are known to create the results, you get the results. I'm going to mute you, Mary. Got that?
Perfect.
Okay. Now, next step, you need distributors.
Correct.
So one of the big things about talking about being a distributor is talking about the solution or the desire, and most people get confused as to what we are. So here's something that you want to think about. Essentially, we provide solutions to identified problems or challenges. We provide solutions to people that have a desire and an objective to reach. We provide solutions to people that want to fulfill their purpose. They just don't know where to align their purpose with whatever the group is. So the first action of this is you've got to find out what other people need and want, and for you, forget about what you need or want. It's not about you anymore. See, where a lot of people get confused is they think that the people that they're talking to have to be like them. It's not about that at all. It's about finding out what other people want. And again, this is so critical. This is so important. This will change your life if you really get a hold of this thing, because that's the objective. So on your list, you say, okay, I need 5 distributors in my organization in the next 30 days. Okay, so how are you going to do that? So you list out how you're going to do that. You're going to make phone calls. You're going to throw an ad in the paper. You're going to go talk to your friends, and etc. But what are you going to do to find out? You're going to ask them what they need or want.
Correct.
And then you're going to present what you have based on that situation. So in one of my stories, one of the tapes, I had this couple by the name of Ralph and Jerry. Now, Ralph and Jerry were neighbors. They lived down the street. He was building a home. I'm going to really shortcut this story to get to the chase, but I wasn't going after them to become a Nikken distributor. I was going after them to find out what they were doing because I like construction. One thing led to the next, and before you know it, we're in a conversation about the business. But I didn't know why we were in the conversation about the business until later. And he had a problem. He and his wife wanted to do something new to be together. She worked somewhere else. He was retired. So they were looking at a way to find something to do that made money, that they both could do, and they could work together and they could work from home. So once I found that out, then I presented them with Nikken. And guess what they did? They joined. And they became extremely successful, and they made quite a nice pile of money over the next couple of 3 years, and then retired. But the point of it was that the fact that I asked them, and then we figured it out and we strategized. So the object of what you're trying to do in this relationship is get into a conversation where you can talk about what's needed and or wanted, and then explain and show them how they could get what they want by being involved. Okay, with that being said, then the next part of this little puzzle became very, very, very apparent. 94% of the working population works. Why do they work?
Because they have to pay the bills.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the most common denominator, or the most common thing to communicate about, is the economic side of things. Now, not everybody's going to do this business. You get that out of your mind completely. It's a numbers proposition, and it's like when you go fishing, you're going to throw the line in a lot more than you're going to pull out the big fish. But that's the object of the exercise here, is to get into a position of consistently saying the same thing over and over and over again, so that you become so proficient at it. You can do it with your eyes closed. We can do it with one arm tied behind your back. You can do it standing on your head spitting wooden nickels. That's the practice part. But the idea is to be consistent. So when I first started, I needed to make $8,000 a month, period. I didn't need to fix my toe, my back, my head, nothing. I was in good shape. I needed to make it. That was my issue. That was my problem. So then I started selling products. Boy, that was slow and arduous in my books at that time. Then all of a sudden it twigged on me. Well, I wonder if anybody else needs to make $8,000 a month. So I started asking the question. Guess what? Bang, 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 home run after home run after home run after home run. Because what happens when you talk to somebody else about something you're both interested in?
Got a common language.
It flows. It just goes. Man, you talk about it forever. You can sit, I watch women talk it's better probably for women than it is for guys, but guys can do the same thing if you can take them to a football game or a baseball game and that's what they like. But there was a gal that went platinum by going to the malls and watching women speak. This is a true story. So she would go to the mall and she would observe women talking to other women. As soon as they were finished talking, she would go up to them and said, I have to say, man, I really admire your skills and your ability to communicate. And, this is what my business is all about. I want to know if you'd like to talk about it. Bang. Silver after silver after silver were created by her establishing that. Because here's what's really important. Those that like to communicate are easy to communicate with.
It's true.
And so if you find people that love to communicate, there's your first sign. That's the person you want to talk to, because what's our business all about? It's word of mouth and it's based on communication. So if you don't talk, you're not going to get anywhere. Sorry. But if you do communicate, then it's just a matter of honing your skills on what to say and how to say it to the right group of people. And so that just means your awareness tweaks and you open up your whatever, and you find what works for you. And that's the next part, is find out what works with you. So whatever it is that you want, just list it down. This is what I want. This is what I have to do it. And then put it on your calendar of an activity that has to be done, or your battle plan. And then wake up in the morning. Oh, I need to go find that person to put in that position. Well, what did you just do there? You made a conscious decision to go out and do an activity that would create a result. You didn't have to think about it. You planned it. You just opened the door and away you go. So what are you doing? You're out there, you're talking and everything. And lo and behold, the next thing that happens is you run into Mary Jane, and she wants to do this business because she needs something to do, because she's a single mom and she's got a family to support, whatever the case may be. So that's the general idea. So it's, you identify what it is that you're after. You lay out what needs to be done to get it. You understand the relationship of what Nikken will pay you for doing this activity. And then you go to work and you do those activities. You put the blinders on and you just do it. and you just keep doing it, and you just keep doing it, and you keep doing it. Now, on a weekly, monthly basis, you monitor your activities. Your graph's either going up or it's going down. And if the graph's going up, you don't change a darn thing. So, for example, with this 90-day push concept, if everything's going great and you just went soared like this and don't change anything, I wouldn't add this to it yet. I'd just keep doing what you were doing, because what you were doing was working. See, this is the key point here. When you find something that works, then work it. Don't change it, work it.
One thing that I would ask in this, I fully appreciate the overview concept.
Yes.
Let's talk about my time limitation. At the moment, I'm comfortable to be able to commit to about 5 hours a day. That would
Perfect.
include some of the things the company or leaders provide to be participating. So where do I concentrate? I'm starting from slate.
Okay.
I'm starting from meaning zero, let's say beginning, even though I'm at a certain rank. So where do I concentrate in the 5 hours I'm committing a day?
Okay, so this is going to be a personal issue with you and what you want and what style of business that you think you're going to be best at. For me, I wanted to recruit distributors.
Okay.
So I spent all my time going after looking for distributors.
Wouldn't the retail component of the plan come?
Whatever you decide you want to do is fine. I want to give you the power to make that decision as yours, okay, not mine.
Okay.
So it depends on what you want. So we laid out, you've got retail needs, you've got distributor needs, and you've got your leadership needs. You got a production board out there. Now, here again, another story. So I found out that there were 3 sales in this business. There was the retail sale, the wholesale sale, and the distributor sale. And I found out that the distributor sale bought the most product.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I also found out that if I couldn't get a distributor sale, I could get a wholesale sale. And if I couldn't get a wholesale sale, I could possibly get a retail at a discount. So, again, you're going to find everything you need by going after what you want. So if you set your targets, okay, I want to go out and find 5 distributors this month. Well, not everybody's going to want to be a distributor. So you're going to have people that want to do other things. And so you're going to naturally get a fall off to buy and sell your retail. If you want to do the retail, then put your focus so much time on retail. But you are the CEO of your business. It's your job to figure out, what you want and what activities are going to be best for what your circumstance and situation is. So you go out there and you do your battle plan. So today I want to find a retail customer, and I want to find a wholesale distributor, and I want to find a new partner. Okay, go. What do you got to do? You're going to call people. What are you going to do? You're going to talk to them. What are you going to do? You're going to find out what they need or want. And in that process of finding out what they need or want, you're going to find out which direction to take. Oh, so I call you up and I say, hey, Lynn, I found the goose that laid the golden egg. How are things going with you?
Not so good at the moment.
All right. Would you be interested in making an extra $5,000 a month?
Absolutely. That would be absolutely a way to go if I could.
Okay. Well, that's great. So when would be a good time for us to sit down and talk about this?
Give me a couple of days and maybe we can connect on Friday.
Okay, good. So how about Friday at 11 o'clock? Would that work?
After 2 is better for me.
Okay, so can we set 2 o'clock?
We can.
Okay, good. Now, I want you to change the viewpoint and say, no, I love what I'm doing, but God, right now I'm kind of under the weather and need a little help. So, hey, Lynn, how's it going?
Not too bad.
Okay, good. How are things going? Work good? Everything's good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Busy with the family.
Okay. By any chance, would you be interested in exploring an idea where you could make an extra $5,000 a month?
I don't think I can do that. I got quite a commitment.
Okay. So tell me about the other thing.
Well, I'm busy with my family and I cannot leave that. I have to put that as a priority. So my time is very limited. I don't have any time for anything extra.
Okay. So the plan of this conversation was you were going to tell me about some owies you had.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So, okay, got it. No problem. So tell me.
Well, I certainly would benefit,
Okay,
would
so let me reset the stage here.
yeah.
So I'm calling you as a prospect. And I'm going to talk to you about the business, but you're not interested in the business, but you're going to tell me that you're right now under the weather and you've got some body issues.
Okay.
Okay? That's the scenario because it happens all the time.
Fine.
You call somebody up and they say, no, I'm not interested. And right now I'm just not doing that well. I've got my bloody blah is broken and I can't get out of bed. See, here's what I want you to understand. We don't have to role play here. If you get out there and start communicating in a direction,
Yes.
everything opens up. You're going to find people that want product. You're going to find people that go tell you to go take a flying leap. You're going to find people that said you're nuts. You're going to find people that do whatever you don't want, and you're going to find some that do what you do want. The idea is not to pay attention to those that you don't want or don't want you or don't want what you got or don't want your product or don't want your business. The object is to find those that do.
Correct.
So when somebody says they don't, then isolate it as quickly as possible. Can you do this? They don't want to be a distributor. Do they want to buy product? They don't want to be a product. And they want to be my friend. They don't want to be my friend. Do they want to receive information on a monthly basis? Whatever. Do you follow what I'm saying here?
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
So that's the object of the game. So in other words, you want to be as busy as possible, focused in a direction that's going to best suit your needs overall.
And what I hear you saying, don't spend the time with the individual or consume the time of something hopefully they will do, find out what they want and then go in that direction, whatever
Exactly.
they are.
Exactly.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's step one, is find out what's needed and or wanted. When you find out what's needed or wanted, then present that to them.
Correct.
And when you present it to them, they're going to take a look at it and they're either going to say, yeah, I could do that. Most people aren't just going to jump at it. They need some form of education. So your process has to be to enlighten them as to what you have to offer. So whenever I was doing this, and it's been a long time, but I did it, was I wanted to know the person I was talking to, can we play together? And you did this as a kid. You do this in your second dynamic with your, boyfriends and girlfriends. And you do it with your jobs and careers. You want to know, can I play with this group? Can I do this? Can I be involved here? Do I like what they're about? Do they, it's all the social stuff. Okay? But remember, it's not about you anymore. It's always about them. Because that's how the plan works. You see, when you sell somebody a product, you earn a commission. But what did they have to do? They had to buy the product. So if you find somebody that wants to do this as a business, why would they want to do it as a business? Because they have a problem or a desire or something that they're trying to accomplish. So if you find out what that is, man, it's like piece of cake. Why are all of you on this call? Why are all of you in Nikken? You're not the only ones.
Correct. Yeah.
You just represent the majority of where people are at. Does that help you, Lynn?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's that crucial. What I want is really that reinforced, clear thinking for me.
Now, you will hear, and I'll just, people are going to say, that's your why. What's your why? Well, your why is to get what you want. And that could be an emotion. It could be a sensation. It could be a feeling. It could be a physical thing, whatever. I wanted $8,000 a month because that would pay for my life and my family. And what I ended up with was a lot more. And it was my whole life. Now 32 years in Nikken. So what did I do? I did whatever I friggin' could to get the job done. I flipped every rock. I looked behind every bush. I climbed every tree. I did whatever I could to get it done. And I asked gazillions of people what they wanted. Because here's what I knew. If I asked the right person, game over. It was that simple. If I asked the right person. I remember going to Canada and watching Michael and Bo start Canada in 1993. 92? 92. And at that time, I'd been in the business for a year. I was a platinum distributor, and that year I made 120 grand. There was some stuff going on in the States, and I got sidetracked, and I wasn't 100% on board. And I sponsored some people in Canada and in Nova Scotia, and that got shut down right away. So I became discouraged. Anyway, but it was just a matter of persistence and persistence. And I watched people be persistent, and I watched people light up like light bulbs when they saw what this could do for them. And that's the key to what you're trying to accomplish, is allow the person that you're speaking with to light up like a light bulb, because they can see that they could get what they wanted by being involved. Period.
Magical. Yes.
So that's who we are. That's what we do. Now, whether that's an emotional thing, whether that is a help thing, whether that is a support thing, it doesn't matter what thing it is, but that's what you have to create, the relationship that people can get what they want. And when you listen to all our messages and all our big events and all the heart stuff that goes on out there, you can really see where people are at and why they're involved, because they get something from doing this that's important to them. And that's what you've got to address. That's what you've got to find. That's what you've got to cater to. That's what you've got to deal with. So it doesn't matter. So again, now, if you're going to utilize this vehicle, and here's the second part of this message that's really important. This is a financially responsible activity. So in other words, it costs money to do something. It has its own economy. So if you don't make that part work, then you're out of the game.
Correct.
So the reason for the focus is because the activity is economically driven. That's why the focus is make your business work first, and it will get everything else that you want. I mean, I can attest to this so many times, and I've got so many people that can attest to this concept, that's why they're still here, or that's why they did what they did, or any aspect that relates to this kind of thing. And so when you also look at the success that you create in this business, it also relates to the number of people that you helped. I read an interesting definition of what's the purpose of life. It's to help others. So if you look at any activity in life, what do we do that is most gratifying? It's help somebody else. And so that's what Nikken does, is it helps other people. Now, it helps them, and again, how does it help them? Well, man, you got to find out how it could help them. It may not be economic. It may be, well, God, I want to help as many people get rid of their big toe problem. Okay. If that's what you want to do, then let me show you how you do that. That's it. It really is. And the light bulbs, when you see the light bulbs go off, is when they realize, oh, man, I could get that if I did this. That's every light bulb I've ever seen, or every successful person I ever saw, that was the light bulb. Oh, I get it. If I did this, I could get what I want. So so all you're doing on the pre aspect of this is lining up to the to-do stuff. Make the calls, make the presentations, learn what to say, learn the compensation plan, study, clean up all the words that you don't understand. If you don't understand something, raise your hand and ask. If you don't understand something, there's plenty of us that have been around that know what needs to be done or know how to do it or know where to look or whatever the case may be. So you monitor your activity. So you go out and you do blah 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 blah. You look at the results and it doesn't give you any results. Then change the blah 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 to blah he blah he blah he blah he blah he. Then you do the blah he blah he blah he and you monitor the results. And if you got results, then they say, okay, great, I do the blah he instead of the blah ha. You know. And then the other thing that's really important is don't look at me or any other successful person for what they did, because they did what they did based on who they were. Understand what they did, though. Understand the activities that they did and the results that they got, because that's where you want to focus your attention, is on understanding and learning how to apply the activities that are known to create the results, period.
And just put your flavor to it.
That's right. And have fun and enjoy yourself and make sure that you're not doing the stupid stuff. And that would be, hiding or not communicating or not learning or not applying or not practicing or not whatever. And the rest is going to take care of itself. But let me assure you, this is hard work. But let's define hard work. It's just consistent activity of doing something that you like to do. You don't have to dig ditches. You're not digging fence post holes. You're not carrying bags of cement. You're not cleaning up bathroom toilets. You got a decent profession here that you can do. And it's your job to be a professional and do the best that you can. And how do you do that? You learn exactly what needs to be done. So hopefully, in the sense of what you want to do starting in 2022 is create a plan of going after what you want, but identify what that is first. Understand what needs to be done so that you put in the right amount of effort that's required to get the job done. And don't shortcut.
No, thank you. I was just going to give you a quick example. My younger daughter just was promoted with a company here in Canada to a position of management, and they opened up a department. I've seen her work hours and hours. And after 7 months, got a decent salary. The department got going. They allocated her responsibility and got rid of that position because it was high paying, and just go, no cause.
Yeah.
So when you were saying that, it just reminded me, at least when you're doing that hard work, you're doing it for yourself and with people, that are able to help you. So
yeah, there you go. Okay, so if anybody else is interested in learning more about this, so obviously you can contact me. And I'm just going to do a little advertisement on daverolf.com. As you know, I've written a couple of books. One is called The Smart Networker. It's a digital book. This is my exchange to you. It's reduced price with the buying code MARY to $19.95. So this has the basics plus everything else that's on daverolf.com. And if you see a need that you could utilize the information, there's the link. That's the last commercial I'll do. Next week, we are going to have a meeting. And what do we want to talk about? Any topics of interest?
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I would love to do the transition period from an employee to a business owner. There's a big gap between the two, and a lot of us come out of the employee bracket. So I'd like to have that.
Okay.
I work for anybody, any interest?
Seems that there were some heads nodding. Transition.
Okay.
Okay. then that's what we'll do. All right, I'm going to stop the recording here. Oh, wrong button.